me.
So it wasn't so long ago that Microsoft and open source, those were terms that were not necessarily associated. What's changed? How have we gotten here?
Well, of course it's a long journey towards openness. I think it's safe to say that we have changed as a company. We have become more open. I'm nearly 2 years into Microsoft, 2 years into my job, and I already saw how it changed, even in this short time frame. I think that a lot of it has to do with what ultimately matters in open source, which is code. We're showing the world that, yeah, there's open source code, there's openness efforts coming from Microsoft, they are all over the place, they're pervasive, so yeah, things have changed a lot, I believe.
How does open source fit into Microsoft now? How is it being applied?
In so many places, from Microsoft Research to Xbox Live. I can tell you this, first day on the job, my manager tells me, you need to go and meet everyone in this company who has a vested interest in open source. 2 years into the job, I'm not done.
That's a good preference.
So yeah, I mean, it's a big company, there's a lot of people to meet, of course, but it's really all over the place, and it's interesting to see how also the landscape has changed. This is my 20th anniversary in open source, and when I started, it wasn't even open source. We didn't call it open source back then. And I think that things have changed, that we are really meeting in the middle, finding that sweet spot. Today, when you talk about cloud, when you talk about mobility, the whole notion of openness has come to another level. And I think that we're keeping that conversation open with the developers, with the users, with our customers. So,
what is the goal of Microsoft Open Technologies?
Microsoft Open Technologies is a wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft Corporation. It got funded 3 months ago, and the ultimate goal is to advance our investment in openness all across the board. The way we do it is, again, by showing up with real code. We've been 3 months in the making. We already announced some significant stuff, such as support for Redis, working with the jQuery community for the Windows Phone team, working with Azure for the Linux and Mac command line tools, and as of today, actually, we are announcing the open sourcing of Entity Framework, which is the .NET part that does object relational mapping. So from today, it's open source. You can find it on msopentech.coplex.com. Go ahead, download it, and by all means, send us feedback, send us contributions, send us patches. We love to see that.
So last question for you. How do you see Microsoft and open source combining over the long term? I'm thinking for 5+ years.
Well, if I look at the trajectory, what we have seen again in the past 20 years, I've seen that a lot of change have happened. I've seen that the openness discussion has broadened. It's not just open source, it's also open standards, it's open conversation. Let me give you an example with what we did in the cloud. 2 years ago, on this very stage at OSCON, we came up with the interoperability element of a cloud platform. We said that data portability matters. We said that ease of migration and deployment matters. We say that it's about standards. We said that it's about developers' choice. Well, guess what? This conversation is ongoing. We're keeping up to that promise, if you look at what we just released in Azure. And so we're following that trajectory, and I clearly see how 5 years from now, this conversation will have reached a new level where we are going to have great discussions with the community at large, with the developer community, and creating new solutions where cloud and mobility will have taken the world by storm and will have impacted severely our life, our way of thinking about software, how it is composed, how it all works together. And I think we're in the right place for that.
Great. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for all this question.